Goodness, I am really excited about this. One of the things that I think is just a kick in the head as far as reality is yesterday was our 40th wedding anniversary, and I think, where did the time go? It's just astonishing. Thank you. She still makes my heart pitter-patter. Pretty special lady. Along that line, when you start getting older, and like we've got our number 28 grandchild on order right now, and as time moves along, maybe you've had the same thoughts and feelings. You get married, and all of a sudden you have kids, and you're identified dad, and you think, wow, I've become my dad. And then when you're young, grandpa, that just seems way off in the future. But I've got a lot of people saying grandpa, and so all of a sudden that's who I am, grandpa. And I just think, I look in the mirror and I think, wow, what's happening? And it just kind of hits you. Time, where is it taking us? And then also, as we get older, I think all of us just kind of think, wow, it isn't infinite. When you're young, I think you just kind of think immortality. It's going to go on forever. And then you start hitting this age. And have you ever noticed a toilet roll? You put a new one on, and it just stays big for quite a while, but all of a sudden it just goes vroom like that. Can you believe this, that in a week it's going to be March?
Yeah.
That's astonishing. 2013, is it really that much? And then in a week, we're going to be 1/4 of that into it. And what are we doing with our time? It just kind of makes you think. Doesn't this title appeal to you? You could actually be younger next year. This book talks a lot about that. So much of the problems that we kind of accept that have to do with old age, you don't have to have all of those things. In fact, let me see if I can find something in here that... Okay, here's what you think you know. You turn 60 and your feet are on a slippery slope. The long slide into old age and death. Every year a little fatter, slower, weaker, more pain-racked. You can't hear and you can't see. Your hips go your knees, and that great friend and amusing companion of yours curls up and goes to sleep in your lap, except when you have to take a leak, which is every half hour. But anyway, you get petulant. Your conversation goes stupid. Your teeth are bad yellow, and your breath isn't so great either. You don't have any money or hair, and your muscles look like drapery. You give up. You sit there and wait. Go to the nursing home, get tied to a chair. That doesn't sound very good at all. And that can certainly happen in this country, and it often does. But it's a choice, not a sentence from on high. You can just as easily make up your mind and tell your body to live as if you were 50, maybe even younger, for the most of the rest of your life, if you're willing to send your body some different signals. You can get off the slippery slope, and you can stay on a gently tipped plateau until you're 80 and beyond. There are guys out there skiing slalom races in their late 80s. I've seen it with my own eyes. And there's other guys who are biking in the steep hills outside Barcelona where Lance Armstrong trains, not just crawling along either, like little old guys, but doing it, going for it, having a major good time. And so, what would you like to do? Because the choice is yours. And the thing that I love about this business is we've just been giving another powerful thing. Probably two of the most important things that we can do is just this idea, use it or lose it. And so, like if we exercise every day, put effort, and it doesn't have to be really Olympian training or anything, just going for walks, a little bit of weight stuff, things like that, it sends very powerful biochemical signals that you're still alive. Kind of the default position is just kind of sitting around, and you'll quickly be pulled into the water instead of this gentle tide that you can resist. And that's just an exciting thought. Brains, they're even finding that brains can actually grow new cells, especially important areas like the hippocampus, which is kind of the seat of our personality and memory and different things like that. It can develop. And this is what I'd kind of like to emphasize tonight, is we are what we eat. Some of the things that I've noticed getting older is your metabolism actually slows down, and that's why it's pretty easy to put some extra weight on. But also, one of the most alarming things that's going on is just really, really scary, is about the last, all of us that have just kind of looked on. Every year, everybody gets more and more obese. really, really scary. And this is the great engine that's driving almost every problem there is. 100 years ago, almost everything that killed us was infectious. All of the diseases that we have today, pretty much, you don't catch. You develop. And they're chronic, and almost every single one of them has roots in being overweight. That just sets things up and puts stress on everything, and it just starts falling apart. In fact, I was just watching a thing on YouTube, and I'll send you the link because it is fascinating. Here's just a couple of notes. Oh, here's one I got from Dave Ramsey. This is pretty good. Just a whole separate thing. There's not a government program to fix your life. You're the program. Okay. How can we eat more than we're supposed to? Does anybody do that? Okay, sugar. No one can exert enough willpower over a biochemical drive that goes on every minute of every day of every year, living with an urge that you can't satisfy. Intolerance and withdrawal are the hallmarks of addiction. The power of certain foods on the brain, especially overexposure of certain foods, which is, processed food, it changes or blunts your brain's reward system, and food actually becomes a drug. No one chooses obesity. Obesity chooses them. There is a physiology, there is a biochemistry underlying every single behavior. And the question is, how long do you think you can exert a cognitive inhibition on a biochemical drive that's going 24/7, 365 days a year, getting worse every single day that you don't perform it? What we're talking about is sugar. And the thing that's really scary is a lot of teenagers, about half of their caloric intake is refined sugar. You've probably heard this really good idea that if you do shopping, don't even go up and down the aisles in the grocery store. Just stay around the outside. Almost everything in cans and in the aisles is easily at least 50% sugar. They do that because they want to sell it to us. And if you can be just like cigarette companies or drug pushers, if you can have addicts, that's all the better. And so that's a scary thing right there. And the way it's metabolized, the way it works on the brain, they're finding more and more, especially refined sugar is just as addictive as heroin. And all of a sudden you lose control. One of the things I really like about what we're doing right now is we have a national treasure, a world treasure, and that's Roger Drummer. Oh my goodness, when I first met him, I was just, wow. In fact, I made a mistake a few years ago. When I first heard Roger Drummer, I loaded it on my iPhone. I got lots of things in here. And I woke up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom, came back, and I thought, I think I'll just listen to this Roger Drummer thing to kind of go to sleep by. That'll put me to sleep. And oh man, probably about a half hour into it, I was wide awake, and he's really funny, and so I'm laughing and shaking the bed, and man, I didn't get any more sleep the rest of the night. I just wide awake, and all just thinking about my mind was turning. He's not a sleeping pill at all. He's so, and over the years, he's just gotten more. I was going to say more better, but yeah, he is. He's more better. And this is his best talk yet, I believe. And I think one of the things that I love about this is if we, as people, look at ourselves as people that want to change the world, but also business people that would like to make a good living, the classic idea of an effective salesperson is not to do things for your benefit alone, but actually to give value. And one of the best things that you could do to give value is save somebody's life. Give them information that this standalone could change their whole life, because he's got a recipe that's very, very effective on how to get off sugar addiction, if you'd like. Just really powerful, because what it does is, just like all the other drugs and addiction, is it changes your brain chemistry and creates this dependence. And the sad thing is, as you get into it, you need more of it, and you get less and less of a reward. I remember one of my kids' friends that actually worked just down the street at Krispy Kreme, and we got talking about that. And we've ridden our bike along on the Centennial Trail, and you just go like that, and I think you can probably gain a few calories just smelling going by there. They talked about regulars that they would go in there and every breakfast that what they had was a soft drink and a half a dozen donuts, or a couple of people even do a dozen donuts. Can you imagine what that could do? And if you were a regular normal person, you'd get really sick. But they've built up a tolerance to that, and they can actually get away with that.
Not really.
Good point, that they can't get away with it. Yeah. Everything has a consequence. It's the funniest thing. If you ate one of those, you're not going to die instantly, but just it is a knife and a fork that most of us are killing ourselves with, just a bite at a time. But the neat thing about this is within about a week following this recipe, you can actually completely get your brain back into balance so it doesn't crave and scream for sugar. Is that something of value or what? And you look around, what's the percentage of the population that are overweight? I've never met anybody that wants to be. And the thing is, pretty much all the health problems that we have, the number one cause is obesity. And nobody wants to have those problems. Nobody wants to be obese. Everybody's looking for a way. And there's about 90 million people at this moment that are on some form of diet or wanting to be. And so if we give them this could really get them interested. In fact, Bob, you were telling me that first of the week you called to brag that you placed 5 of these CDs, and then Bob called me just the next morning and said, "Hey, you got a call back and sold one already." Those are good numbers. Yeah. And I don't know if that'll hold up, but I might be a little worse. Might actually be better. Who knows? And it depends on you and the people you're talking to. And look for people that are concerned and just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and there's a lot of them. Oh, that's really, really exciting. I think to date in my career in Nikken, this is the best entrance into Nikken, a portal or a gateway to all of the rest of the stuff we have, because everybody's interested in this. You probably know people that really don't think much about their health, but they don't want to look fat, and they're interested in that. But if they get this and they start feeling better and their brain starts working more clear and everything, you could change their whole life with this right here. This is so neat. What I'd like to talk about is specifically this, and we had fun with this title. We wanted to kind of catch people's imagination, and so the title is "Our Shake is Better Than Your Shake," because for about 30 plus years that's been just a real time-honored, popular idea as far as losing weight. It's one of the easiest things to do. If you look at weight loss, one of the things is just, okay, I'm going to do it. That hardly ever happens. You need help. What they figure is if you actually get on some type of a program, typically to lose 20 pounds, that's going to probably cost at least $2,000, beyond maybe $4,000. And the thing I like about shakes, in general, a shake is basically budget neutral, because what you do is you have a food budget, and what you're doing is this is a meal replacement, but it's carefully packaged so that you can just do this, and it counts the calories, and you just don't really have to think a whole lot. You just take 1 or 2 meal replacements with a shake. Now, are shakes created equal? Boy, it's just like everything else. John Ruskin said something that I memorized, and he says there's hardly anything in this world that cannot be made a little worse and sold a little cheaper. And for those that consider price only, these are this man's lawful prey. And the thing that I really like about this is it's super high quality. Now, way back in the olden days, in the early 80s, my wife and I, we were introduced to a shake company. And it had kind of this corny title called Destiny's Slender Me. It had a kind of a can. It had herbs and different things in it. We had a couple of friends that we really respected as far as business people, and they told us that this would be a really good opportunity. It was about the same time Herbalife started. I wish I would have went with them because they stayed around. But anyway, the thing that really surprised me is we just started sharing it like crazy. And one thing led to another, and our very first month's check in that company, we opened it up and it was $862. And I thought, wow, that'd be pretty good right now. But if you think in terms of $1982, what would that be now? That'd be even more than that, maybe a couple of thousand or something like that by now. And that made a huge difference in our lives. We were just so excited. So we just ran with it. In fact, within a few months, we had actually attracted enough attention where the president of the company came up to our town, Tri-Cities at the time, and a couple of other corporate people. I probably shouldn't even go into this, but when they did, just felt kind of yucky, like we wanted to go take a shower, go home. They just didn't seem like integrity kind of people you wanted to be with. And so rather than get us all excited, I could close my eyes and I can see myself at the Holiday Inn parking lot, rather than being inspired, thinking, okay, I guess we'll get into something else because we can't stay here. It was a fun ride for a while, and really gave me a respect for the weight loss industry. It's easy to talk. Everybody's looking for something, and especially if you have a story to tell. And that's what we have more than anything. How many people here have listened to a cassette tape years ago called Dead Doctors Don't Lie? Oh, yeah. That to me has been the gold standard. This came out when we had all our kids at home. We had 5 teenagers at one time, and I think that was about right when that came out. I listened to that cassette and I thought, I need trace minerals, and so I bought some of that nasty stuff. And I told my kids to listen to it, and when they listened to it, they just and so they all choked it down too, because it was such a compelling CD. And I've always thought that'd be so neat to have a talk to give out that would be as good as Dead Doctors Don't Lie. I think we're really close with this one right here. My humble opinion is this might be the very best Nikken thing to hand out to somebody in the history of Nikken. Another thing that I'm really excited about is all the time I've ever been in the business, the interest in health has never been more, because we're worse off today than we've ever been. The way the healthcare system is going in a number of different ways, it's entirely broken. It's wonderful for trauma and things like that, but we just have too many crises, and it isn't even designed to prevent. And that's what you really want to do is may you never know what you're preventing in the first place. That is what you'd like to do. And drugs and surgery, which is basically how we define healthcare today, you can't even use that as a preventative. If you went into the doctor and said, based on your family history, I think in 25 years you're going to need a knee replacement. But as a preventative, let's go ahead and schedule that operation next week. And that wouldn't make any sense at all. And the neat thing I like about all of the Nikken products is it's into that idea, may you never know what you're preventing. Never get it in the first place. And one of the best things that you could do is you are what you eat. This can dramatically affect everything. Now, on probably the worst side of the spectrum would be Slim Fast. And if you've looked at the ingredients there, it's garbage. It has sucrose, powdered milk, isolated soy protein, artificial flavors, If you move up the scale a little bit more, you might get a product and this is kind of the big spectrum in the middle, is whey protein, soy isolate, sucralose, and flavoring, and dietmotto and diglycerides, and and all this other stuff. And pretty much all of them fall into that category. But one of the most interesting things is you are not only what you eat, but you are what you eats. That's why a lot of people are kind of nervous about a lot of the foods that, soy, GMO, guarantee you. What do they feed dairy herds? It's just, it's scary stuff, what might be in there. And that's, in fact, why Nikken, which actually has a couple of products that are actually milk-derived, the lactoferrin and the osteodense, they're actually grown and produced in real pristine areas in New Zealand where there's never been any things like mad cow disease. There's not all this funny feed and hormones and crazy stuff. It's just really good stuff, because some of those capsules are the equivalent of almost a gallon of milk per capsule. And so because of the derivatives that are out of it and extracted. Sounds kind of like the maple syrup story, 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. But the thing that's exciting about this is if you're a label reader, this will absolutely blow you away. It's just absolutely exciting. Now, as an example, a lot of people are concerned about whey. Nikken decided we're just going to go all vegan. Don't have to worry about factory farm cattle that have had weird things put in them, and there's the whey. The other thing is soy. Soy is real popular because it's got high protein, but they're finding more and more that that's actually a fairly stressful protein. It also has hormone analogous substances in it that might not be right for people. What Nikken decided to do is this is the latest generation of pea protein. Pea protein as in legumes. And now the first time I ever tried pea protein, let me just interject. Pea protein, it's not all created equal. The first time I tried it, if you can imagine getting lima beans that are just dried up and putting them in a coffee grinder and then stirring them in water and letting that set for a little bit and tasting that. That's kind of what the first pea protein I had tasted like. It didn't have it was kind of a lima bean taste, if you can imagine what I'm doing. I'm saying right there. It was not a pleasant thing. This stuff is organic peas that really have a very, very neutral, good taste. A thing that's also very interesting is when you're restricting calories, it kind of goes back to this right here. Younger next year, one of the proven that's just a lot of animal models, a lot of stuff has gone on that's every indication is one of the best ways to live longer, actually live longer, slow down your whole metabolism and everything, is to restrict calories. When you do that, you want to increase the nutrient density, because if you're just going to have a piece of toast with some jam on it, that's going to be my lunch or whatever. That's some serious nutritional deficiencies in something like that. And so having a product like this that's real nutrient dense, real broad in its pattern, has some enormous advantages. But also, if you're losing and you're taking protein, it can kind of be stressful. And the pea protein, as an example, a lot of protein, as an example, soy, can kind of put a strain on kidneys. When you're slowing down, the limiting organs have a more of a stress. Pea protein is actually kidney building. It's good for kidneys. Isn't that fascinating? Now, another thing is, if you know people that eat legumes as a major part of their diet, to kind of fill in the amino acid profile so it's complete, what they usually do is add rice. And so all the South America, Mexicans, all of the people that eat lots of beans, it's always rice and beans, and so you have a complete amino acid profile. That's what's in here, is rice protein and pea protein, and then some hemp protein. Putting those three together gives you a really ideal amino acid profile, and just really awesome. Kosher, no GMOs, just pure, clean, easy to digest, and really good flavor. And last time I brought some of this, I just mixed it up with pie water with a plastic fork, and it wasn't too bad. Right. Not as good as tonight though, was it? I really like this stuff with just a little bit of almond milk. So that's the cool thing. So what we have in here is pea protein. Let's go through some of the ingredients right here to make sure I don't miss it. Okay, pea protein. Next on the line, and if you open this up, one of the things that's kind of interesting is that looks kind of green. Another thing is it's quite dense and packs really well, because next on the line after pea protein is medium chain fatty acids or triglycerides. Medium chain versus long chain. Medium, they say, is between 6 and 12 carbon atoms in a chain, because that's basically what fatty acids are, is just a chain of carbons that they all connect together with hydrogen coming out of them and everything. And one of the unique things about medium chain triglycerides is they have some very interesting properties. First off, they're really, really good for you, and a couple of things that are really neat is they just kind of go right into the body. They don't have to go through a lot of digestive processes. It's almost like instant energy, and in a crazy way, it's actually fat, but it's fat that actually tells your body to burn fat. That's just the neatest thing. Another thing is it's one of the ideal direct sources of energy for brains. So this is actually really, really good power up your brain food. Anybody interested in that? Don't we all love our brains? I saw a bumper sticker that says, of all the things I've lost, what I miss most is my mind. And we want to keep that active and working really well. And one of the best things is to feed it the right kind of stuff. Also, just along that same line, kids going off to school, the worst thing you can do is just go high carb, like a lot of the breakfast cereals are. Any kid's cereal, number one ingredient, sugar. And then they go there and, oh my goodness, what are some of the numbers out there? There's a lot of places in the country where I'm not kidding, maybe a third of the kids are on medication. And in a way, all of them are on medication. It's called sucrose and high fructose corn syrup solids. That's medication too. We want to get off of that, which dramatically affects your brain chemistry just as much as any other mood-altering drug. The best thing you could do, give them an instant breakfast with some really high-quality protein, medium chain fatty acids. They will do better at school. Their brain will work better. Just this is really exciting stuff right here. Okay, next on the line, medium chain triglycerides, vanilla. I think we know what that is. Why it has this color is right up there on the list is chlorella. Does everybody know what chlorella is? You could actually pretty much live on chlorella alone. It's a single-celled plant that lives in water. It's kind of like spirulina, chlorella, algae, different things like that. It's got more protein than just about anything, and real high-quality protein, but it's got a lot of other interesting properties. If you Google chlorella and cilantro together, and that's on the list here too, it creates a very powerful synergistic detoxifier. Now, if you're restricting calories a little bit and you want to lose, some of these handles here, almost all the places where toxins are stored are in fat cells. And so when you're releasing all of that stuff, toxins are going around, and so we mop that up. Now one of the things that's kind of interesting is human beings do not have the enzyme system to digest cellulose. And one of the big differences between plants and animals in their cells is all plants, the cell is surrounded by cellulose. And so here's these little single-celled plants. It's cracked in the dark so that the cell is open, so to make sure that all the goodies inside don't just go through you. So all of this, it's a fractured cell chlorella mixed with cilantro to do all of that good detox. To also, eat your veggies. Got, pardon me?
Broccoli and spinach.
Yeah, broccoli and spinach. Another thing is one of the differences between live food and dead food. And I've got to just throw in, I was at a lecture, and I'll never forget it, talking about live food and dead food. The guy says, do you know what canned green beans are? He says they're the embalmed cadavers of dead green beans. It's really hard to eat a canned green bean after putting that thought in your mind. And maybe just to carry it a little bit further, just imagine the time that you opened up the can, you looked in there, the color looks like death. And as you poured it into the pan, you could just see the dead bodies of those green beans flopping out there, lifeless, just high temperature, completely dead. That's descriptive. Okay, all of this stuff is real vital. That's why it has that pleasant green. It's processed so under low temperature, so all of that is just real stable. But in addition to that, live food basically means that that's enzyme rich. Well, this is actually fortified with some really potent proteolytic enzymes. And so this is a neat thing, because when you take this as an example, like athletics or endurance or anything at all, the big thing is if you take something that's hard to digest, your body is designed for efficiency. It's assuming that you're not going to use your digestive system and be running at the same time. And so it's either or. The neat thing about this is this does not create digestive stress. It almost pretty much just digests itself, just moves through, and just very, very easy on your body. So that's a neat thing. Here's another thing: Lactobacillus plantarum, Bifidobacterium, ascorbic acid. Bifidum that's a particular strain of lactobacillus that actually comes from breast milk. What's really good is, did you know you actually have several pounds of bacteria in you if you're healthy? And if you're healthy, they're actually not just passive bacteria, and hopefully not pathogenic bacteria, but they're actually symbiotic bacteria that are beneficial. Most of your immune system, they say, is actually your gut, part of it, and that those bacteria are actually an integral factor of the human immune system. Also, so much of how we are healthy is basically having a healthy digestive system. Those friendly bacteria are critical for good digestion. They actually help us digest. In fact, they actually create nutrients for us. They'll actually manufacture vitamins and things like that, the right kind of bacteria. And this is actually replanting the lawn, so to speak, in there with good seed. Good friendly bacteria. Dave Balzer said that a serving of this is like having about 10 of those Activa yogurt things. And also sweetened yogurt, there's a lot of teaspoons of sugar hiding in those things. And that you look on here, there's no added sugar in here. Pretty much all of the carbs are complex carbs from the legumes and things like that. The sweetener is the latest generation of stevia. The first time I tried stevia, not impressed. Had a lot of aftertastes and things that just kind of stayed. This stuff, they've really got it dialed in really well, and this is just really just sweet, and that's it. What else we got in here? Sorbic acid, hemp protein, alfalfa, spirulina, broccoli, rice protein, biotin, vitamin E, spinach, niacin, vitamin A, vitamin B12, thiamine, B6, riboflavin, folic acid. So nothing bad, no sucralose, let alone sucrose or any of that kind of stuff. Isn't this cool stuff? It just beats the doors off of anything out there. Just this is something that is just super vital, super excited about it, and I believe I've been in Nikan for a lot of years, and we've seen miracles happen over and over again. I'm so thankful for this company because one of the most wonderful feelings there is to help another person. The greatest joy is giving joy to other people, and if you can do that and get paid a good living, spreading sunshine and joy and hope and making people feel better, it's just absolutely astonishing. And one of the big things that I've really enjoyed is just these. Have you seen this? Isn't that
cool?
Isn't that cool? And it works better than the old one. Much more hygienic, as you can see. No fabric to hold moisture. Just nigh indestructible. It's just fabulous. Like my son-in-law, he broke his back. Three vertebrae just open like clamshells and muscle torn away. Not a good candidate for surgery. Lots of pain, and that gave him back his life. And so that's a big thing. But with all of these products that are life-changing, the thing that I believe that very possibly, probably in fact, is this will probably be the biggest life-changing product that Nikan has, and the easiest to sell. And you don't have to choose. You use this as a door opener into all of the other products anyway. And so I'm just super, super excited about the possibilities of this. And so you can start all over with everybody because this is so different than what we have. It isn't woo-woo energy medicine. Some people love it, some people... But you could just say, hey, you interested in sugar addiction and getting off of it? Listen to this. I'd like to see what you think about it. When I got into Nikan, I'd already paid my dues and maybe a few other people's dues. I had 15 years of network marketing experience when I joined Nikan. And so when I got in, it was pretty exciting because we made 6 figures our first year. In fact, the title of this book is 6 Figures in 6 Months. We did that when we joined Nikan. There was quite a few other people that did that, but every single one of them that I knew had several years' experience in the industry before they joined. This is a game changer. I've read a lot of books, but the thing, when I read this, it just kind of blew me away because real typically, when people get into this business, there's a learning curve, which we just kind of accept. Like, my son-in-law, as an example, he has been practicing as an endodontist for a while now. But when he first decided to do that, when did you first decide to be that? Well, that doesn't instantly happen. What he had to do was went to college for 4 years, then he went to dental school for 3 more years, and then he went to endodontic school for 3 more years. Wow, and now he's an endodontist. If you wanted to say, I'm going to be a CPA, how long have you been a CPA? It isn't when you first decided and started going to college. It's after you've gone all this stuff and then taken your license, and then you go there. I've just kind of thought, well, this is a business where there's a curve. A lot of times it might take a person a year just to kind of figure things out. But the thing I love about this book is I've heard it said that it takes 3 to 5 years to really become profitable in any business that you start. That's real typical. But with this book, that could make 3 years maybe into 1 year. If a person's maybe a year and a half, it could make it maybe 10 months. Or it could actually, if you're just really decisive and decide, by golly, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to read this book and just go like crazy, and you got the desire, I really believe it is possible that you could do this. And so what I'd like to start right now is the Six-Figure Club. Would anybody like to be part of that? The mission is get one of these books and let's start reading it. The thing I like is it's just a system you plug into on the internet. There's tests that you can take and just follow along. I'm actually kind of one of the late simulators of this. Reed Nelson, Dennis Estes, Dennis and Ruth Williams, they're already full bore. In fact, I was just talking to Dennis Estes today. They were going to do a 90-day pilot thing just to test it with a few people, and it just got out of hand, and it's just exploding, and so they're just opening up to everybody. And we can actually just get on their website too, which they're putting it through their Bojabi system. And thank you, everybody.